Well, g'day. Welcome to Stu Shed. The availability of compressed air in a workshop is actually a really useful tool, and I've used it on, well, I just don't even think about when I have it these days. I have a compressor out in my other shed. It's a little shed out the back there where I store the dust extractor and the air compressor and a little bit of timber. The compressor itself is just a 40 litre. It's a cheap and nasty, to be honest. Just happens to be that I've ignored it completely, and every now and again I remember to empty the tank of water, and one of these days I might actually remember to oil the air filter, and the air compressor doesn't seem to care. It just keeps going and going. Now, if I had a decent air compressor that I'd spent quite a lot of money on, I probably should have looked after it, or would have looked after it a bit better than I have this one, but for some reason it just doesn't seem to die. Now, having compressed air in the workshop is a very useful tool. Now, it's not something that helps you cut, although it can. It's not something that helps you drill, but it can. It could help you sand if you wanted to. I find it useful just to do things like cleaning up, for filling up the kids' beach balls or rafts or whatever, pumping up the tyres on the car. I've used it in the workshop too, and I have shown that on occasion. Now, getting air around the shop is certainly a big part of it. You want the convenience of actually being able to have the air where you need it. Now, in the corner I've got a pneumatic hose reel, and in this case I can just wheel the hose out and use it around the shop. Of course, being compressed air should use eye protection. You know, if I want to blow the shop clear or dust, yes, I would have to wear respiratory protection and make sure the air filters are running and all that sort of good safety stuff. But at the end of the day, being able to actually use compressed air and getting into the equipment and actually blowing it clean, or getting into some holes that I've drilled or have just started filling up with sawdust over the time, and getting a bit of compressed air down there is a great thing. So I just find that having just a basic nozzle is a really useful tool. However, that's not the only pneumatic tool that I have available. Something like this one here, framer's gun. This fires up to a 75mm nail, and it was actually the tool I used to build basically this entire shed. And again, didn't cost a huge amount of money, but it certainly made the whole job go much quicker than it would have otherwise if I'd been swinging a hammer. And hey, it's always a bit of fun. I won't pretend that it isn't. So, nail guns, and there's all sorts of sizes through, from the really tiny little tiny tack nailers through to ones like that. There are coil nailers if you're firing a huge amount of nails for a large project very quickly, and you just don't want to have to stop to keep reloading the gun itself. But yeah, so there's a whole range, and they're very useful. I've even used this thing in the past. This is a pneumatic hammer, and it just not for nailing nails. This is actually I've used it for breaking up concrete or chipping concrete apart a bit. Pneumatic hammer, pneumatic chisel sort of concept. There are other things too. I mean, this one here I haven't put into practice yet, but basically it's a sandblaster. So you've got a long tube here that actually picks up the sand or the particles that you want, and it just simply sprays it into the work. So again, could be quite a useful thing. In this case, it I don't know, it must have cost about $10. So just something I've got sitting there in case I need to use it. Now, for those of you who are into your cars, and I do like a bit of the racing myself, something like this. It came with a whole kit. I wouldn't actually go out and buy it as a separate item, but just that sound reminds me of pit stops and the whole sort of racing. It's a great little thing. But I've actually had to use it once, and as I say, it came as part of a kit that I had, yeah, it's already proved very, very useful. You're trying to get a nut off a very rusted bolt one stage. So again, useful little tool. Now, one thing I have shown in a previous video is this, which is an Australian invention. It's called a vac clamp, and this takes compressed air. You reduce it down into the inlet here, and this goes through a venturi there, or it goes through a nozzle, creates a venturi effect, which just sucks the air out, and this produces a very, very powerful clamp to clamp flat surfaces down. And I'll leave you to have a look at the other video when you want to see how that's actually used in operation. But that's, again, having compressed air in the shop means that you can use this sort of thing. Now, there's one sort of problem that we come across often with compressed air and pneumatics is the tubes. And my tubes here are probably no different to many, many others. They're an absolute snake of a thing. They're find the end, and then you want to try to coil it, and it's a mismatched, and you're mucking around, and you know, it's very easy to get a pinch and a constriction in your airline and everything. So it can become very frustrating very quickly having to deal with hose. Yes, having a hose that comes out of a reel is proven to be a very useful thing, but in some cases I can't use that because either I want to use the compressor further away than the shop is, or it's not long enough, and I have to then resort to having to add extra length on. But something like this, it's just frustrating, and yeah, there must be better. Well, the nice thing is that there is. This hose here, just picked up yesterday from Professional Woodworker Supplies. The hose itself is a Bostik brand, and it is an ultra flexible pneumatic hose. And I don't know how you can sort of get the feeling of it on the video, but it is extremely soft and just behaves itself absolutely beautifully. If you try and constrict it, to show you that, even around tight corners it will still work without getting pinched off. And so all of a sudden you have a hose here which actually behaves as you'd expect. You're able to coil it. It will go around corners. It will not actually fight you instead of doing what you actually want it to do, which is just like lay there neatly and let you work on the job itself. And now here I can just take off as much as I like and be able to work with it. So this hose is yeah, very, very flexible, very user friendly. You can always just leave it coiled up, because this hose you can actually leave coiled up, unlike the other one which will by default just try to come over and strangle your leg, as it has a tendency to do. So anyway, that's just a little bit about the pneumatics in the shop. As I said, I find it's a very useful tool to have compressed air available to me when I'm working out here for all sorts of exercises. And when I need to, a decent flexible hose like this one just makes that whole exercise so much more pleasant.